Okay, so you saw the Medusa Green Drake. It's phenomenal, okay? I've only been fishing this fly for about 3 weeks since I thought it up, and it's already caught hundreds of fish for me and other people I've passed it out to. So, you're going to want to pay attention to this one. It's kind of wacky. Yes, the wool makes a difference. What does that mean? Watch the freaking video, and you'll find out.
That's a big brown bro.
All right, so this fly is called the Medusa Ant, okay? It's really cool. I've tied it from size 16 to size 10. And the key thing that I've noticed when fish eat this fly is when they eat it, they hold on because the whole thing just collapses in their mouth. They don't even realize that they're hooked. There you have it. You better check it out. All right, we're ready to tie this bad boy. We've got a hook in the vise. This is the Gamakatsu C12. All right. This Gamakatsu C12 is awesome because it's a really light wire hook. It's got a micro barb that's very easily smashed, which you do right now. At this point, I'm going to turn the hook just like that. The reason I do that is I'm going to tie a bump on this fly right here, okay? And so it's easier if that's kind of borderline centered for what I need to do. The thread that I'm going to use is just a 100 denier GSP. You can use 100 denier nano silk. I think they call that 6/0. Or you can just use the 100 denier Vivas, whatever you'd like. I use 100 denier because once we put the hackle on this bad boy, it's necessary. And I'll explain what I mean later on that one. So we're going to flatten this out and we're going to take our thread back to about right there. That's where the back bump of this ant is going to meet. So the idea here is we're going to make a ball of dubbing. Here I've got ultra dry dub from Fulling Mill. This stuff's amazing because it's nice and buggy, and but it floats super well. There are some colors that I've blended myself. Try to figure out which ones they are. All right, I'm going to use the brown. All right, so we're going to dub this on here. We don't need a ton of dubbing because it's kind of a I mean this is a size 12, but you don't need a big ball of dubbing on the back. Just enough to make it look like a little sparse ant. Kind of loose, it's not even really bound on there very well, and I'm going to take that and just push that up to the hook. You can see kind of messy still. Give myself ample room and I'm going to close that off. All right, and then advance my thread about to right there. Okay, at this point you're going to grab your favorite dubbing twister and twist this all up, and it's going to make this turn into a very tight, durable rope with some flyers hanging off of it. That's perfect. If they're too long, you can just pull them out of there. That's what we want, a real tight rope of dubbing. And then I'm going to take my hackle plier now. If I try to wrap with this dubbing twister, it kind of slips off that point a little bit too easy because I need to put a lot of force on it. So wrap it around the dubbing twister, or I mean wrap it around the hackle plier, and then get the dubbing twister out of there. All right, so the idea here now is I'm going to use my left hand to push my bobbin out of the way, and I'm going to start wrapping toward the eye, maybe with like 4 or 5 turns. You can see they lay nicely down next to each other about right there, and I'm going to go back over the top of itself, maybe like only 3 or 4 turns, and then back over toward the front again. And if we do that correctly, we should have kind of like a, oh, this is trying to make me screw up again. That wasn't me, guys. All right, so perfect. Just tie this off now. And you can see it's pretty spiky right now. We'll trim it up and you'll see what it looks like once it's done. So off goes that old GSP, and we're going to rotate this up about right there. I'm going to take my thread forward to right here, and that's the center of the body, I guess. And then you're going to take some curved scissors or whatever you have. Sometimes you got to use both sides of these things to get all this off of here. All right, so we're just going to trim that up, and essentially you just have a little small, ball of dubbing. The bigger the fly, obviously the bigger the abdomen, but we're just going to leave it just like that. Now, that little ball of dubbing now is very hard, okay? it's going to be very, very durable. The fish is not going to be able to pull a single fiber out. Cool thing about the ultra dry dub too is it's got a lot of synthetics in there, and so it kind of gives an appearance of light in the water. I really like that. All right, the next step is we're going to do the same thing right here, but I'm going to use black dubbing this time. So dub a little bit on our thread, just like about that. Up it goes, and close it off again. You'll get really good at these little dubbing loops, and then you'll start using them in all kinds of stuff. And twist that one up. You can do this, you know, the simple way of doing dubbing, no problem at all. It's just they're not going to be quite as durable. It might be a little bit harder to get the shape as well. Same thing with the hackle plier, maybe. Boom. All right, so and you know, dubbing's kind of an unnatural thing, so it wants to do crazy things, especially when it's bound up this tight. So just take your time and make it do what you want. All right, cool. I like where that is. I'm going to go back on top of itself and then back forward. You can see how nice. This one's going to be a lot more round of a circle than the back one. The back one I wanted to be kind of oblong, but you can see how the same technique, you can just build up whatever shape you want. If you keep those dubbing ropes thin, it gives you a lot of leeway to kind of go back and forth and play with shapes. So hopefully you can see the vision by now. You see our cool ant body taking shape. But anyway, that is, what do we call that? That's the thorax, if you will. And then before we put anything else in, we're going to tie the head as well. Maybe angle it up a little bit more extreme. And we're going to go back to our brown dubbing. And this one I'm just going to dub really tight on the thread. Got a little chunk that doesn't want to bind down very well, so he doesn't get to play. All right, so this one I will just use the traditional method because the head's so small. And I'm also going to wrap the GSP through this head at the end of the fly. Make sure not to crowd too close to that hook eye. And then here we go. All right, so you can see the nice little head shape now. You see how I'm using my thumb to brace these scissors getting in here. Hopefully these scissors come out soon. I'm forcing my hand, but these are some of the coolest little scissors I've played with in a long time. Rambler, I don't even know the name, but this is what they get for sending me prototypes. I show everybody, and then they're forced to put them on the market. Awesome. All right, so here's our little ant. You could do an awesome sunken ant out of something like this as well, and you'll probably see a little bit of variation on that too. All right, we're going to construct the wing for this fly, and this is a critical part of the fly. I'm going to use maybe like this length of this wool. This is just streamer wool. Look how gnarly it is. Okay, so I'm going to cut a few chunks about this long, about like that. Let's see, we're going to get another one. That'll be plenty to show you with. And so I'm going to kind of separate this. Some of the streamer wool is way worse than others. There is a skill builder about this as well. So if you'd like a little bit different details, then go there. So check this out. I'm just going to put this in my little carding block. Now, since I started using this little carding tool here, people started asking about it. I think you can find the carding cloth on Etsy or something like that. But just don't hit your hand in there. I've shed a lot of blood trying to educate you all people. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a little bit of visibility to this fly by adding a little bit of flash into it. So that's just ice stub, pearl, or ripple ice hair. I use a lot of different stuff for that. So we'll put in about, I don't know, that much flash. And then this is a cool new thing that I've been doing is I'll take some wicked black ice stub, and I'm just going to put in a little hint of this, and it kind of gives the wing the appearance of like veins going through it. So about like that. So once we have it there, we'll just start with some gentle pulls and then get a little bit more mean with it. To get it off the board, I just turn my brush sideways and kind of do that, okay? So next one down, I'll just kind of gradually put pressure on there to try to paint it like this. So see, we're getting it to blend pretty well already. So I'm going to come back up and again, just kind of gradually pull the wool through itself and look to see if you have any problem areas. It's blending up pretty well. So just kind of tease it out, blend it through. Now we're, you can do it pretty quick. I'm trying to explain while I do it as well. All right, so pretty good blend. I don't see any big chunks of solid color, so I'm just going to pull that all off like this. And now it's in here. The best way to get this out of here now is just to use your thumb, and you're just going to pull it out like this. All right, so here we have our mixture. Yeah, this looks like floaty goodness. And so basically what you're going to do for a fly is you're just going to pull off a chunk about like that. And that's for like a size 10, right? So imagine how many flies you can get out of that little chunk. So we're going to grab the wing stuff that we just made. We're going to pull out a little clump. Little bit does a lot. So we're going to take a clump out, probably go overhead on this one, Mr. Cade, because we're going to show people how to preen this together, just like that. So we're just aligning these fibers as best we can. You're not going to get it perfect, but if you do it right, you can roll it in your fingers like this and slightly preen both ways, pull out any haters that don't want to play the game. And now you have a really cool wool section to tie in for a parachute, right? So it seems like a lot. You know what? I'm going to take a little bit more out. Boom. Now we're perfect. Seems like a lot, but, we're going to treat this with Flyagra at the end. And it's absolutely dynamite. This thing floats forever. So we're just going to put 2 turns down, 3 turns down, pull these both up, and then I'm going to start wrapping around the wing as a base. So we're going to make a parachute post out of this. And you can see how the parachute post is kind of separated. So what I'm going to do is just take a comb and brush up through this. All right. Now shout out to Stonfo for making this comb. It's been around for a long time. Like a $12 comb. But I had to modify it for the fat-fingered folk. This is just a craft marshmallow. So easy to pick up off the table for us large-fingered folk, but and then the Velcro has seen better days. I think these are little tabs I got on something I bought, but great for fly tying. All right, enough said there. So our parachute post is in. The next step is trimming this so that it looks more presentable, if you will. All right, so we're going top down here, and you can see how I have this wing just kind of preened out like this. These scissors are curved like this, so I'm going to come in here and just kind of grab a chunk of the hair and just chop down, okay? And I'm going to come in from the other side and do the same thing. All right, so once I have a general shape, I can come up from the bottom and round upward. And the idea is once you get up to the top, it should just be a few little filaments. It shouldn't be like a ton. And the idea is it's going to be easier to cast. It's going to be a tall indicator, easy to see without having a lot of wind resistance, right? It just moves all around. The other cool thing is with that little bit of flash through the wing, it's amazing how much more visible it is in the sun. So it's a cool little concept. But there's the chassis for our ant. Now all we have to do is put CDC on. This can be the hard part, but it doesn't have to be. This actually isn't too complicated. So let's get after it. We're going to farm out some good CDC. Oh, I found a good one right from the get-go. 2 of them. Good prime quality CDC is kind of hard to find, but it makes tying dry flies so much better. If you have some of the lesser quality CDC, use that for your Euro nymphs and stuff. It doesn't matter there because you're not trying to float anything. If you have good stuff like this, you can see I found two nice CDC feathers that have, good length this way and also good length across. Okay, where this is a big kind of buoyant fly, I want all the length here. Okay, so the other thing is I cleaned the bottom of those. Those feathers are very, very buoyant, but they're also very webby and tangly. So on this fly, I opt to take them out. So I'm just going to take these feathers, stack them on top of each other. And what you've done here is you've made two little handles. So I'm going to grab those handles and just kind of alternate my fingers back and forth until I have those feathers, pretty dang aligned, except for when you yank them out of your fingers. All right. I'm going to show you on this Stonfo prepper. This is the OG hairline feather prepper. This is one I use most of the time. I'm just going to use the gray one for the video purpose so you can see it a little bit better. But this one's my favorite one. It's cheap. I use the crap out of this thing. All right, so let's have a look-see. I'm going to go like this and just take your fingers and you push down and it will stage that feather for you. At this point, you get rid of the side pieces. All right, nuke those. We're ready to clamp it. So you can use whatever clamp you like. This is a great one. Oh, you know what? Very important step. This is a cool technique I've been playing with. So I almost skipped this. Trust me, it's happened before. But come on, feathers. There we go. All right, so these feathers are maybe too long for this fly. The hackle's just as long as the parachute post. So I am going to take these feathers and I'm going to kind of trim them like a barber would. My daughter Audrey does my hair and my beard. She went to hair school. She's very talented. And I stole this technique from her. I've watched how she makes all this gray wire look so freaking good for all you people to see on the YouTubes, right? No, but this is a cool technique the barbers use to trim something. Instead of just going straight across like this, we're going to stagger the tips here and make it look like it's natural. So I'm going to take, I don't know, about a 1/4 inch off of this or maybe a little bit more, and I'm just going to come in here with my scissors and just kind of stick the tips of the scissors in as slightly angled if you need to, and just kind of come in here and make a whole bunch of cuts. And then you just get rid of the fluff out of there, and then you can see spots that you need to come in here and do again. So there you have it. I've shortened those tips. As you can see, they look like they were just put in the clamp that way. It's a very cool technique so that you can maybe gauge or size your CDC to small dries especially a little bit better. All right, once we have all that done, and shout out Audrey, thanks for teaching me that, even though I'm grumpy and I kicked you out of my house. She's married and stuff, so it's all good. All right, so I am going to clamp this down, and I have those just like this. Long bladed scissors make this easy, just one cut, yonk. Oh, I got the stem. So like I said, 2 cuts. And this is all we're left with those CDC feathers, okay? So we're making real good use of those feathers. All right, this is where the rubber meets the road, people. We're going to put that CDC into a loop somehow, and I've chosen to do the split thread technique. The reason why is because we'll be able to put a whole bunch of CDC around this parachute without a lot of bulk. So make sure your thread's laying nice and flat. The way you can tell that is you can just let it sit there and see if it twists one way or another. Another way is you can just kind of lift your thread up, take the tension off your thread. If it cords on itself, you can see it's twisted. This isn't twisted, so I'll further flatten it out. Find the center of that with this old thread splitter. This is the Smayan version. Very, very good tool. Highly recommended. All right, so I'm I'm going to take now the CDC Swiss clamp. Okay, let's get overhead on this one, and we're going to show people how I like to do it. So take the clamp. You're going to put the whole clamp in the loop. Okay, let off of it. This is why this clamp is so good. There's nothing that will impede this or scratch your thread. It's a very smooth metal, and you can put the whole thing in and pull the whole thing out. So put your finger here, and as you pull that, I'm monkeying around with it too much, and I got some of the tips. All right, so whole thing in, put your finger here, and as you pull it out, that your finger will kind of catch your thread, and it won't pull out too far, right? Release that, and now you've got CDC in a loop. If you need to, now you can adjust that around. It's a little thicker at the base, and also you can adjust length if you need to. So we'll try to make this as long as possible. Keep your finger right here, and now your CDC's on a little shelf, and twist. If you have a bobbin that has like a clutch or only has one arm, you're going to find out that those bobbins are not very great for the split thread technique, because when you go to spin your bobbin, it's like wobbling all over the place. And I know you can do stuff like put your finger there, but it kind of drives me nuts. That's why I just choose to tie on mostly just simple design bobbins. This isn't simple, this is bougie. It's way above my pay grade, but I still get to use it somehow. All right, let's throw this hackle on here. I'm just going to go around the parachute post. Some of those might get trapped down a little bit, so you just kind of encourage them to stay above water, you know. Keep plugging away, buddy. All right, once you're at the end, you can preen all those up and just do one turn of just thread, and it should prop everything up. Pull everything out of the way. One full turn through that head. That'll lock that down super well, and you won't see it. And then a whip finish with GSP is awesome, because now you can just pull it, and you can almost feel that knot just sink down on top of itself. I doubt I even need head cement on this one, but that's pretty much the end of the tying. At this point now, I'm going to take a little brush and kind of pick out some of those hackle fibers. You can see we were pretty dang close. Just a few of the fibers are as long as they used to be. The proportion's nice. That's exactly what I'm looking for on this fly, because if you look from the top view like this, it really doesn't have a huge round silhouette, but it's very visible above the water. Now, this is critical. You need to do this, or else you won't catch any fish. No, you will, but this fly could have the potential to not float very well if you don't treat it the right way. So what we're going to do is take some Fly-Agra right at the desk and a little pipette or straw or something. I use these for head cement all the time. Now I know what some of you are thinking, that stuff will kill your CDC. This is actually the best CDC floatant that there is. It's awesome. So the way I like to do it is I'll just get a little tiny bit, and we'll try not to make a mess here, in the pipette. We're just going to put that right into the wing, just a few little drops. This way you don't have to dunk your whole fly in Fly-Agra and don't get it dripping everywhere. So from here, I'm just going to take my fingers and work that Fly-Agra into the whole fly, even down the part that goes in the water, gets it. And once it's worked in, grab a paper towel, give it a quick dry or a quick dab, and you're going to take that off and let that dry. Okay. Now that fly will float like a 3 mil dropper. I've done that quite a few times, but the key is you have to treat this about 24 to 48 hours before you fish it. Once you treat it, all you need to do is use a rubber band or the banjo. I'm sorry to hurt your feelings there, but it's awesome. And that will keep this riding high all day. I've fished it several times already. I've never had to add floatant to get it to stay above the water. So anyway, tie it like this, treat it like this, and it will float high and catch you lots of fish.